Why do you think the divorce rate in this generation is more higher than it was during our parents' time? I'll tell you one of the major reasons from an unmarried person's perspective, and I'll expand on it. So now, from time immemorial, African parents have always been biased in the upbringing of the male and female child. The female child is being taught how to take care of the home, everything she has to know about taking care and keeping a home, while the male child is left untaught. The male child is allowed to sit idle, doing absolutely nothing, while the female child is being encouraged or is being forced to do a lot of things to prepare her for her husband home. A husband she has not even met, a husband she knows absolutely nothing about, while the male child is left without doing anything. So now, I'm not saying this is how it was in every home, or this is how it is in every home, but in most homes, in most African homes, this is the settings. The female child, you do the house chores, you cook, you sit with your mother in the kitchen, while the male child can sit and do absolutely nothing. So now that parents have successfully trained the female child, everything she has to know about keeping a home, everything she has to know about keeping a man, they forgot that it takes both the male and the female child to keep a home. They taught only the female, thereby they left the male child untaught. And the ridiculous part of this situation now is that most of these are African mothers. They were not okay with the way they were treated. They were not okay with the fact that they had to carry everything on their shoulder. They had to do the house chores. They had to take care of the kids. They had to cook. They even had to work to contribute to the upkeep of the home. They didn't like it, but then they didn't have a voice. The fact that they didn't like it, they didn't even think and find a solution as to how they are going to correct these things. But then they kept on teaching their children the same thing, and then they complain inside. They will not say it out, but when they are amongst themselves, they complain about the stress they are going through. They complain about everything, but then they are not working, they were not working towards correcting that change. They didn't know that the change starts from upbringing. It starts from training their own children. So they kept on repeating that cycle. But now women are aware. Women no longer want to carry everything on their shoulder. Women now have their own voice. They are speaking out. So, and thereby these men that were trained to always be served, they want women like their mothers. But then the women now, we are aware. We don't want to live that kind of life. We want to enjoy our marriage. We want to live. We don't want to act like a maid. We don't want to be our husband's maid. We don't want to be our husband's mother. We want to be a partner. So now that women are aware, the issue of divorce is increasing, because no woman wants to suffer again. No woman wants to be the one contributing with the husband financially for the upkeep of the home. She does not want to be the one that is always going to take care of the kids. She doesn't want to be the one that is always going to cook every day. She doesn't want to be the one that is always going to do house chores. Most of these men, all they learned while growing up, directly or indirectly from their parents, was my mother respected my father, so any woman I'm going to marry has to respect me. But then they were not taught that respect has to be earned. You cannot just sit down without doing anything towards earning your partner's respect and just say, no, she has to respect me. She has to do. My mother respected my father. So women, on the other hand, we are aware. We know that you have to earn this respect. You cannot just sit down and start commanding respect from nowhere. You are not doing what you have to do. You are not helping with taking care of your own kids that bear your name. You are not helping with anything. And women, on the other hand, we are aware. We are aware that you have to show that you are a man before you earn our respect. You can't just sit down and start commanding somebody to respect you. And I would also like to add that while growing up, it is always the woman that was taught what and what not to do. It is only the female child that was taught how to take care of her body, that was taught how not to review part of her body so she won't attract men. It was only the female child that was taught how to be chaste. It was only the female child that was taught a lot of things, and the list goes on. In a typical African home, you'll be hearing parents telling their daughters, you must not bring home any unwanted pregnancies, especially when the daughter starts menstruating for the first time. The things they are meant to tell her about her body, about the changes that would occur in her body, they will not tell her. They will start telling her how men are not supposed to touch her. They will start making her world revolve around a man, while the male child is left untaught even when he's approaching puberty. So that's why these men, so it's only the female child that was taught, don't do this, don't do that, guard your private parts, don't do, and all of those things, while the male child is left to do whatever he wants to do. You can go and impregnate somebody and bring the baby home, but their female child must not bring unwanted pregnancy. So directly or indirectly, they've been teaching us that the male child is free to do anything, but then the female child is meant to, she's one that always has do's and don'ts. Even in the Quran, there are different chapters of the Quran that Almighty Allah admonishes us not to safeguard our private part. And when Almighty Allah is admonishing us in the Quran, he would say Muslimin and Muslimat, that is Muslim man and the Muslim women. He's always talking about man and woman. Even in fact, there's a chapter in the Quran, Surah An-Nur, where Almighty Allah was telling us, was encouraging us to not to safeguard our private parts. For women to safeguard their private parts, and men to safeguard their private parts and to lower their gaze. That is, don't look at women in the eyes too much, so you won't be like, to avoid fornication, adultery, and all of those things. But then when you get to a typical Islamic conference, they always talk about the woman. It's the one they always be telling, cover your body, don't reveal any part of your body. You never, for you to see a conference where me, I've not been to that conference before, that type of conference before, where they will sit down and admonish men to lower their gaze. You will not see it. It is always the women. Opening it down, it is always the women. So this brings me back to the reason for making this video. That is, reasons why, from my own perspective, reasons why divorce rate is higher in this generation. It is because, okay, now you have taught the female child how to not be wayward, how to guard her private part. You didn't teach, like, you don't really pay attention to the male child. Indirectly, you have made him understand that he can do and undo. You have made him understand that he can cheat and get away with it.